My name's Trent Masters and I'm a portfolio manager covering technology for the Global Equity Fund here at Alphinity, and I wanted to take you through some of our thoughts after what to me was a surprisingly strong start to the year. It almost had a bit of a whiff of 2021 about it, as some of the speculative names that were losers became winners again. We had that narrative around a soft landing start to morph into a potential no landing scenario, and we also dealt with the reverberations of the emergence of ChatGPT across the tech landscape. But first to markets, and what we saw in January was a fairly broad-based rally. We had the MSCI World and the S&P 500 both up 6%, while the Nasdaq caught the pointy end of the exuberance and rose 11%. Now, while these moves helped to recoup some of the losses from 2022, it does still leave most of the major markets well off their January 2022 peaks. Now, why I say that the strength was surprising was at the back end of January encapsulated the bulk of the latest reporting season. And the earnings outlooks that were coming associated with that earnings season were on the weaker side of expectations. We are looking at downgrades coming through in the order of 2 to 3% across both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. But markets rallied in the face of these softer earnings as that no landing scenario, coupled with speculation around a potential Fed pivot, helped to drive most of that market direction. Now, turning to individual stocks, and what was quite interesting about January, across big tech in particular, was the complete change in mix between the winners and losers. Now, what we saw during January was the strongest results came from both Meta and Netflix, in large part driven by what appeared to be very tight cost control. On the weaker side, we had Apple grappling with a weaker consumer impacting on iPhone demand, and we had Microsoft and Amazon dealing with a flattening of that growth profile for their very high-value cloud businesses as enterprises look to clamp down on consumption in what is a tougher macro environment. But I think the big news over January was the bursting into the consciousness of ChatGPT. Now, while I tend to be very skeptical of the latest transformative tech breakthrough, such as Metaverse, the capabilities of ChatGPT really do appear to be quite remarkable. That ability to have natural language in terms of the questions and the responses and the quality of the information coming up seems to position it to have quite a big impact across a whole range of industries. The quality of the information has seen ChatGPT get past the Wharton MBA, the US medical licensing examination, and even pass parts of the bar. Now, what I used ChatGPT for was a query around how to make my wife happier. And while I think the most obvious answer would be for her to find someone better and move on, ChatGPT managed to distill a lot of very useful information into a list of salient points from which I can work. So thank you for that. Now, in terms of company impacts, I think the most obvious positive impact is for a company such as Microsoft, not just because of their initial investment within OpenAI, but the ability to infuse those AI capabilities across the entire product set. Whether that is improving the search functionality in Bing, whether that is putting it into Teams to be able to take automatic minutes and then through AI generate an executive summary and action points. I think also companies that can benefit are those exposed to accelerated compute. So companies such as NVIDIA, providing GPUs used as accelerators within compute, you can see an uplift in demand in the future as this generative AI does start to take hold. On the negative side, I think the most obvious case would be on those creative type applications, such as those offered by Adobe, because you can see a combination of the chat functionality with the associated images business, which is called DALL-E, being able to put together fairly compelling presentations and creative resources without having to rely on that Adobe suite of products. And also potentially on search and Google, but that will depend largely on the quality of the Google response, given that Google has been recognized as one of the AI leaders over quite a number of years. Now, in terms of using ChatGPT, I even asked it to write the end to this video, and this is what it came up with. I wanted to take a moment to thank you for watching my video on financial markets. Your support and interest mean a lot to me, and I appreciate you taking the time to engage with my content. I hope you found the information helpful and informative, and that it has inspired you to learn more about this fascinating topic. Thank you again for your support, and I look forward to sharing more content with you in the future. I couldn't have said it better myself, except to also add, good luck out there.